Oh my goodness. See, I'm still learning. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome. Thank you so much for telling me that because I would have had this whole entire live going up talking to myself. Hello, hello, want to see the world. Hello, Black Rose and Michelle Vines. Where are you guys chiming in from? I'd love to know which part of the world you are from. I know some people chime in from different countries. So yes. Oh, I need to drink some water. New York, yes. Which part of New York? Are you in Manhattan, the city, or are you like in the boroughs? Or, well, New York City, you would be in the city. Some people say they're from New York and they're actually from like upstate. It's not the same. Hello, Gwen from California, Willer from Las Vegas. Hello, Sarah Bell from Arkansas. Hello, Shayla, I think that's how you say it. Queens, yes! I'm originally from Queens too. How exciting! You guys are going to see me sipping and maybe possibly popping in some lozenges because I am overcoming this cold that has been spreading since I don't know. I think it might be from my son, 3-year-old. I don't know. Hello, Adrian from Atlanta, Vanessa from Louisiana. Yes, Sunshine from California, not the cool part. Oh, that's okay. I think all of California is amazing. I've never been there, but anywhere outside yes, exactly, right? Some people just don't know. If you're not from the five boroughs, you're not from New York City. Like, stop it. Hello, Mango from Chicago and Rakita from Florida. Yes. All right. So you guys are here. Welcome. Happy Friday. I know that I never, first of all, I never really live stream just sporadically like this. And I never really update or upload on a Friday. However, I felt the need to come. Like, oh gosh, there's just, so much. And so I practically spent all day putting together these slides, this presentation. I'm so excited to get it, to get the information out to you. Yes, all right, so I guess we can just get started. So let me just get my first slide up here. All right, so you guys are here. Number one for resume reviews. I have hand picked three resumes that I will be reviewing tonight. I have notes on the resumes. Feel free to screenshot any part of this live video in case you maybe need some information for later. Yeah. Hello. Yes, Sunshine. Very good. We all need to work on our resumes. So, yes, welcome to today's sporadic live. This live will be all about the ATS secrets that no one told you about and why resumes get rejected. So this was something that I wanted to do, but it was more so encouraged, or I was more so compelled to do it after seeing so much misinformation on the internet. And now that I'm actually undergoing certification, I am in an actual like education setting, learning all of the industry jargon, the trends, learning everything that there is to know about resume writing from people who have done this for years, 20 plus years. I am actually appalled at the things that I see online, and that's everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and yes, here on YouTube. So we're going to debunk a lot of the myths and the lies out there. And I know that it's not from, not all these things that I'm mentioning are from a bad place. A lot of people are learning and sharing information as they go. However, this is not spreading information that's not backed up with factual evidence and certified individuals who actually went to school for this and have done this for years. When you're taking advice from individuals who just pretty much picked up the camera and decided to give advice, you're actually putting yourself in a place of disadvantage. You're taking tips that could be true, but they're not. These tips are not the most of what is needed. I'm trying to truly expound on what I'm trying to say here, but we'll get into all this information. Yes, so let me just go to the next slide. In today's live video, we're going to cover quite a few things. We're going to talk about what the ATS actually is, how does the ATS work, and within that particular module, we'll also talk about what it looked like, what ATS, how does it look when the job posting is posted onto the ATS? What is that whole entire process? What does that look like? We're going to talk about a few myths that you may or may not have heard on the internet. I even have a TikTok that I want to show you guys. The misinformation is real, guys. And then we're going to get into some resume reviews. Excuse me. So that brings about the next thing I wanted to talk about. So I am fighting a little cold. I have my water, I have my lozenges. I wanted so badly to come here, and I'm here. So please excuse me if I cough a little bit. I will try my best to mute myself. Or just, yeah. So I hope that you guys still enjoy this particular live. This will be reposted on YouTube for you to replay at any time. So feel free to rewatch it, share, whatsoever. Okay, so the next slide. So hello, I am Desiree. If you guys are here, my name is Desiree. I am a wife, I am a mom, I am an ex-job seeker. I mean, I've been in your shoes looking for a job, desperately looking, getting interviewed and then not hearing anything back, not understanding why I don't hear anything from certain companies that I really want to work with, never truly knowing what in the world it took to get those high-paying jobs that I was applying to. Now, I did have success when applying to jobs within my field, which was teaching at that time. So that was pretty good because, I mean, you know, I already had the experience. At that time, the companies were like urgently hiring, so it was really easy for me to get a job. However, when I wanted to switch paths and do something different, I just never understood why no one was giving me a chance. And lo and behold, a lot of it has to do with the resume, which is your first introduction to these companies, right? So I'm also a dedicated career strategist, resume expert, and an advocate for you guys who are job seekers in this crazy job market, because we all know finding a job is incredibly difficult these days. There's so much information out there, like I mentioned. I mean, it's a great time to live because you can pretty much log on the internet and find an answer to your questions. You can look things up, get a quick answer, but with that also comes its disadvantages. You could be finding information that's not fully true, that's not at all true, and you are pretty much following this information and stuck in a place where you don't know why you're not getting answers, you're not getting called back, right? So it really takes strategy in today's market, and so I try my best to share that as much as I could within the YouTube videos that I share, and also these virtual job fairs that I share from time to time, where I bring on a panel of experts that can share their expertise and help, right? So let me just kind of, can I move myself? You know what, let me do a little bit of this. And yes, so I've helped so many people out there, you know, get connected with remote jobs, also with resumes. However, at this very time, I am putting a pause on my resume writing services because I am undergoing certification. As you guys see right here, which I always try to show as much as I could because I'm so proud to be a part of this squad, the NRWA, National Resume Writers Association. They are a group of experts, industry experts, people that have been writing resumes, connecting people with jobs, coaches, career experts that have been in the field for over 20 years. So I am under them. I'm so excited to learn from them. I've been learning so much, and I am soon to be certified. So excited. So when I do get certified, I will absolutely let you guys know. I'll probably have a little party on here. Yes. All right, so we all know that the job market is super tough right now. There's no sugarcoating it, right? People are venting everywhere, even on TikTok. I did a fun TikTok reaction video not too long ago, kind of featuring a lot of people who were venting about being ghosted, ghost jobs, applying to jobs that are not even real, right? So there's so much, out there where people are really upset, and we know that finding a job is like a second job, right? So there's so much noise out there. There's a lot of misleading advice, outdated resume tips, and even ghost jobs, like we just mentioned. And so you guys feel overwhelmed, you're frustrated. I understand. So today we're going to debunk a lot of false information. Some of this information you might have heard, like, if you apply to several jobs, you might get one. Just keep applying, keep applying like 100 jobs per day. And that's not true. It's not a good strategy at all. Will not work. We're going to talk about that later. Another, misinformed statement could be if you have, if you don't have direct experience, then there's no way that you should apply to a certain job. And that's not true either. Another myth is that ATS systems are so advanced that they automatically reject your resume. And that's also a myth we're going to debunk today. All right. So I want you guys to enjoy the session. I want you to get all the actionable advice that you need. I want to empower you with truth. My goal here is to help you navigate the job search process a lot smarter, not harder. So if you're struggling with writing your resume or tailoring it to different job descriptions, or you just want to understand how to stand out, we're going to break it all down today. All right. So I do want to give just a little bit of just a little tip to those of you who are watching right now. And you may not be a subscriber, because my subscribers are really, really great. My community is amazing, so respectful, so just uplifting. But if you might be here from some creepy crawly part of the internet, I just want to remind you, keep it classy in the comments. We are all here to build professionally and in every other way. So please do keep it respectful in the comment section. Thank you so much in advance. All right, so let's get started with an inspirational quote. You are more amazing than you realize. I know that sometimes you might doubt yourself. You might doubt your abilities, in this job market where you might get, you might constantly get rejected, rejection emails, ghosting. And when I say ghosting, I mean like you're not hearing back at all. You might feel it might take a toll on you. Your confidence is shot. And so you don't have the strength or the confidence to believe that you are worth more than that. All right. So whether you are employed or unemployed right now, wherever you are in your particular career journey, just know that you are capable, more capable than you realize, and you can do just about anything you put your mind to. That's why I love to present these resources, information to you guys as well, because this will help you to overcome a lot of those hurdles that you might be experiencing right now, and then ultimately doubting yourself and then ending the entire process completely. We don't want that. All right. I want you guys to hang in there. You can do this. So let's get into the first part of our little our presentation. Let me just grab a sip of water. Okay, so what is the ATS? And like I mentioned, guys, you can screenshot these slides. You're more than free to do that. So the ATS, what exactly is it? I mean, people are talking about it. You hear about it all the time. What is it? So first of all, it is not an applicant tracking system. Did you know that? It is actually an applicant tracking software system. So it is a software system, all right? And so when we talk about ATS, it is the applicant tracking software, and then we say system. So that's what it is. It is a software. Please do keep that in mind. And it is a software that is used in many HR management systems, pretty much streamlines the hiring process from the time you are recruited all the way to onboarding. So this helps companies, these softwares are purchased by companies to help them sift through these resumes that they're getting, because they're getting hundreds of thousands of resumes each time they post a job posting. And so they need a little extra help to read through these resumes, qualify or disqualify candidates. And so this software pretty much does that. It doesn't do it entirely, and we'll get into more of that soon. So it basically powers job postings on these company websites. You will see that they use applicant tracking systems sometimes in the search bar, internet search bar. You'll see like a small portion of the website, HTTP, website name. You might see a small segment that looks a little strange. More than likely, that is the ATS that they are using. They also ATS plugs in with a lot of job boards that we use, like Glassdoor, Indeed, LinkedIn. And it is an essential part of today's hiring processes, manages candidates from the time that they are hired all the way until they are retired. And you guys can feel free to ask any questions that you have in the comments section. I will be more than happy to answer those. So why do we use the ATS? I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background because it was very exciting for me to just understand why we have the ATS in this very day, where it came from. So from the late 1990s all the way to 2010, there was the shift from using newspaper classified ads to online job boards. So this was like a paradigm shift, right? So from the 1990s, the online job boards, they emerged, they grew more popular, and they basically provided a digital alternative to the newspaper ads. I don't know if you guys remember picking up the newspaper and going all the way to the back of the newspaper to find the classified section. If you do remember that, let us know in the comments section. We might be aging ourselves. But I remember when I first started looking for jobs back in high school, that is what I did. And I found quite a few interesting jobs. And so that was the method back then. Yes, that was you too, Gwen. So the 2000s, a lot of platforms emerged like monsterjobs.com, Career Builder, and even Craigslist. Those grew in popularity, and this basically revolutionized job searching completely. And actually, one of the earliest ATS systems that were used was for federal resumes, and this was called Resumix. I believe they're still operating at this very moment. So year 2006 changed the game. This is why this was the year that truly changed everything for us when it comes to job searching. In the year 2006, the US government mandated that companies track applicants because they wanted fairness within the workplace. So they passed the EEO, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Compliance Act. And so this required that companies collect demographic information to make sure that there are no discriminatory hiring practices done. Yes, Katie Cat, 2006, right? Yes, so this basically helped promote fairness and diversity so that human eyes were not discriminating and disqualifying candidates that could possibly be, employed and work well in the company. So the government basically wanted everyone to have a fair chance at getting employed, and so they passed this act. And so since the 2000s, there was a huge spread of these ATS, applicant tracking software systems. Fortune 500 companies were starting to use them a whole lot. And actually over 97% of these companies have used ATS systems and are now using it even more, right? They become a huge standard when it comes to recruiting and streamlining the entire hiring process. They do not hire the candidate, but they qualify the candidate to get passed through to the recruiter and therefore get that interview. So what I found really interesting is this right here. So last year, guys, this is news. I've not heard from anywhere except for class, right? Because I am studying in the NRWA. So class taught me that there is an act that was passed. It wasn't signed on. So we'll see what that looks like now. But according to the Chance to Compete Act, this bill will actually provides that a qualifying examination includes a resume review that is conducted by a subject matter expert. So basically, federal resumes are not going to be using the ATS. All right, let me rephrase this. Okay, so federal resumes will no longer be passed through the ATS, but they will be mandated to be read by an actual expert within the field, right? So this is something that has the potential to pass through, and also has the potential to change the game completely for the rest of us who are not applying to federal government, employment roles, right? So I found that really exciting. I definitely wanted to share that with you guys today. Yeah, they might be doing away with ATS, and so that might lead us back to the old school way where people now have to read your resume, and now you have to understand how to format your resume for a human eyeball, which is what you should be doing right now. But the industry standard will not weigh so heavy on ATS, right? So there are plenty of different ATS systems. There are actually over 600 different ATS at this moment, but they all boil down to two different methods that I have stated here. And the first method here is keyword search. So there is a keyword search ATS, and this software basically parses a resume for keywords only. So this is where the heavy emphasis on, loading up your resume with keywords comes in, all right? And keywords are basically buzzwords, industry buzzwords, nouns, adjectives, knowledge that is connected with the job role, skills, even popular universities, because some employers actually value candidates that come from a certain educational background. So you have the keyword search ATS, but you also have a different ATS, and that is called the concept-driven ATS. And this one is not so heavy on the keywords. This one has a mind of its own. It's actually an AI semantic search. So it searches for more than just keywords. It searches for work history, skills, location, and it ranks these resumes based on relevant and recent work experience. So relevant being related to the job position, and recent being your recent work history, basically. If you guys have any questions, please do let me know. I would be more than happy to go ahead and answer. So how does this ATS work? And we're going to talk about a sneaky insider tip that a lot of people don't know that companies are doing, all right? And this could be the reason why a lot of people are disqualified from great jobs. So first, how does it work? So number one, ATS systems parse information to take words from your resume and then it enters this information into different fields in an unseen e-form, right? So they're taking your name, putting it into their form, basically data entry, right? Taking your name, putting it into their form, putting your name, taking your work experience, translating it into their unseen form. You cannot see this at all. It is all behind the scenes. And so this is where your headers come into play. Like when you mention work history, education, this is telling the ATS where to put that information in their behind the scenes e-form. I'm trying so hard to find like different words for what this is, but it basically is like a e-form that no one can see. Water break. Just a minute. Okay, so the next step would be to match keywords or phrases, and then that is entered into that information. The ATS will review that job posting and even ask questions to qualify and or disqualify candidates. And so if the ATS is the concept-driven ATS that deals with more than just keywords, but actual concepts, this is the part where they will actually assign context to those keywords and those phrases. So then you'll see that the ATS will score your resume. So this is based on the algorithm that was already set by humans. So this is basically how well the candidate matched the keywords and phrases and other mystery components that we have no idea about. Only the hiring manager and the, oh, did I skip? Oh, no, I'm going 1, 2, 3. I'll get down to, I know it's a little confusing how I did that. So we're at score right now, but they have mystery components and other qualifications that are not known, but are actually configured within the ATS. And so this is the reason why some people are qualified, some people are disqualified. So the next point of this process would be to select. So the ATS will then choose a resume that scores high and or meets other requirements. The ATS also scans social media. So they'll scan different social media platforms to announce to job seekers that they should apply to this job. And so from there, the review process comes into play where the ATS reviews the database for matches. And from there, it will be sent over to the hiring manager or the recruiter, first the recruiter, to give you that phone screen, the preliminary interview, and then you get through to the actual hiring manager. So I hope that made sense. But let's talk about how a job is added to the ATS, and then we're going to get into some sneaky stuff that they do behind the scenes. I was appalled when I learned this, and I'm here to share it with you guys. So first, the job listing is written by the hiring manager. The hiring manager will sit down and look at the workforce and identify what job needs to be filled, what kind of person would be the ideal candidate, and they would also include a lot of key features within that listing. And so from there, these key features, which are basically the key words, are selected, and the HR department enters this into the ATS. So this is where they will configure the ATS and create the algorithm in which the ATS will work to parse your resume. From there, you will see the job posted online. So this is where we see the job posted on Indeed, LinkedIn, and all these different job boards. And so job seekers are given the opportunity to apply and to upload their resume. Their resume that is uploaded is going to be parsed. So that's where point number 4 comes in. The ATS will take that resume, parse the information. And when I talk about parse, I mean like they're reviewing, they're scanning, looking through the information, taking your information, putting it into their e-form, and pretty much scoring you based on the information that is received. So this ultimately ranks the job candidate against a pool of different other candidates. And so number 5, this is where the Human Resources Department will receive the candidates that came through that were eligible, and they will ask the questions that will either qualify or disqualify certain applicants. At this time, they could ask anything. They could ask, well, are you allowed to work within the U.S.? You know, based on how you ask that question, answer that question, you could be automatically rejected. Ashley Watkins Thomas mentioned that those are called knockout questions. So they would ask questions like, you know, are you available to work on the weekends and during holidays? If that's something that's really important to them, they would disqualify you if you are not available during those times. And also, you could be shadow banned within the ATS. So if you were fired from, say, Walmart because you stole something, that will actually go on your record in the ATS, and the ATS will make sure that you will not be employed by another Walmart ever again until that is lifted. So I found that to be really interesting. So from there, now the database will be searched. So the hiring manager will review the database of all the resumes that were brought in and select the ones that match the keywords, which could be highlighted on their screen. Much like one of the screens that I will be sharing soon. Looking at the screen, judging the resume by the highlight areas to determine whether this person is an eligible fit. And if they are using a concept-based ATS, these managers will use scores instead of the percentage that the candidate is matched. I hope that makes sense so far. What do you guys think? Does it make sense? I want to know you guys' thoughts. Okay, so I'm assuming that you guys think that it makes sense. All right, great. Thank you, Tony. All right. And guys, I hope y'all got a notepad because listen, I sure did. And this is tea, okay? Especially this next slide right here. Sneaky stuff that they do, okay? I probably should have closed that window, but it's okay. Sneaky tips, sneaky things that they do behind the scenes that ultimately cause job seekers to just be so overwhelmed and frustrated. So number 1, they have all right, let me backtrack here. At any time, this job posting that is active that you are applying to and you're possibly waiting for a response, hiring managers are receiving all sorts of resumes, all sorts of applications. And so they might be overwhelmed and frustrated with the amount, and it could be overwhelming. So they might change certain requirements from desired to required. So where a job posting said that it's desired, not required, if you have a deep understanding Microsoft Office suite tools, X, Y, and Z. They might get so many candidates that they say, you know what, let's make that a requirement, and therefore sift out so many other people in order to find the ideal fit. And I've seen that with my eyes. I've seen that with my own eyes with a job post that I shared. I shared a job post, and it specifically said that one particular part of the qualifications was desired, not required, right? I even said it with my own words because I was just basically sharing what the job post said. Someone mentioned in the comment section, hey, it looks like they switched it to something that they are now requiring. I looked back just to make sure that, I wasn't over here lying. They indeed changed it to a requirement. And so that's something that they do behind the scenes, because even though they're using the ATS, Applicant Tracking Software System, they could still be very overwhelmed with the amount of resumes coming in. Another thing they could do is reconfigure the ATS behind the scene, re-edit certain things, adding in keywords that were not there before. And based on whether or not you have that on your resume, you could get qualified or ultimately disqualified and sifted through and rejected, basically. These are things that no one really knows about, but my cold. No one knows about these things, and it's important to know about it, especially now that I know. I'm going to share it with you guys. Every time I get excited, I start coughing, and it's so frustrating. So yeah, like I mentioned, you never really know what could be working against you, and you never really know exactly what keywords should be used in order to determine you as the best fit. So the best thing that you could do is still prioritize these keywords because they are important, but make sure that you are applying to jobs that you are an eligible fit for, that you can say, okay, I have the requirements as well as maybe some of the desired qualifications as well. So I see I have a question here. So when you notice a change in the job description, should you adapt your resume and reapply? I believe that they would still see it's you. Once you put in your information, once you submit it, you're in that system. So I would not do that because that might hurt your chances even more. It's frustrating. Yeah. But that's definitely something you don't want to do. Because it then might look like as if you're lying. You don't really have that qualification because it wasn't in your original document, right? So I want to talk about how you can pass the ATS. And I talk about this ad nauseum on my channel because it is crucial in today's job market to know the strategies that these particular companies are using. A lot of them are using ATS systems. Maybe you might find that the mom and pop shops are not because they simply can't afford it. But many of these Fortune 500 companies are using this system. Yes, thank you, Katie, Kat. Love to hear feedback. All right, so number one, the first thing you want to do, I talk about it as well. You want to so when you see a job that you are interested in, take that posting, screenshot the posting, copy and paste it, put it somewhere, because sometimes these job postings will go down before there are any updates. So sometimes they'll go down for no apparent reason at all. Take that job posting and put it into a your notes section. And I'm going to show how I did that here. So grab your remote job or whatever job you're going for, copy the entire post. And this is what I did. I pasted it here in a Word doc. And so what I did was go through the entire job post and I highlight, I guess that's the word, right? Highlight the keywords, which are basically, like I mentioned, the buzzwords, the necessary job functions, the features that are necessary to the job, some of the skills that are required, the education and so forth. So you would go in, highlight each and every one of these keywords. And I showed this here before as well. It takes some time, but you do need to do this because what you want to do is take the keywords, highlight the keywords that you find on the job posting, and use these keywords very naturally throughout your resume. So you would be using these keywords within your summary statement. You'll be using it within your skills section based on your truthful qualifications. So you don't want to be lying out here in these streets, all right? Because they will catch you in that lie and that will hurt you even more. All right, so take these keywords, sprinkle them throughout your resume. Maybe cross out the ones that don't apply to you, take the ones that do apply, and take your time to sprinkle them throughout your resume. Make sure that you are talking more about the points. So you're not just going to talk about some of the things that you did on the job and relate it to the job post. You're going to talk about your accomplishments. You're going to talk about how you actually impacted the company, what you did, right? Because anyone can simply copy and post or copy and paste a job post to their resume, and that looks incredibly lazy. Companies are not going to take you seriously if you do this. You would actually, I mean, I'm sure that this would be an immediate disqualification. So get creative. Think about the impact that you made within your previous work, and sprinkle these keywords. I have so many different videos where I showed you how to do this based on the jobs that I share, so that you guys have that information at hand and can actually use that information to empower yourself while searching for jobs. All right. So that's one way to get past the ATS. I have so many different tips on my channel, but I just want to give you guys just a few. And these are tips that you may not know. So number one, and we're going to get into our resume reviews very shortly, but the first thing you want to do is, like I mentioned, use the keywords, but consistently use them. So don't just use a keyword one time throughout your resume. Use it consistently. This will show that you do have consistent work experience within, or consistent experience with whatever keyword or phrase that you're using. You're showing that you use it in different places of work. And this actually helps you to rank even higher because you're using keywords more than once. So the more that the ATS or even the hiring manager recruiter sees a certain word, you would stand out even more as someone who has that particular skill or qualification. But within the ATS part, this helps you to rank higher or at least get noticed. Another thing you want to do is structure your resume in a way that tells the ATS, hey, you're talking to a robot here. Hey, this is my summary statement. This is my skills section. I mean, I don't like to put skills section or skills. There are different ways that you can write resumes, but the best way to communicate with a robot is to be absolutely like literal, okay? So you're going to include those standard headings like your summary statement, so that the ATS knows, okay, that's the summary statement. I'm putting that information in my database as summary statement, and you're not getting confused with something else. Professional work experience, you're putting that as well on your resume before you include your professional work experience to define and tell this robot, put this in your database, professional work experience. You got to tell the robot what to do. And it's also clear for human eyes as well, right? Certifications, education, that applies as well. And a cool trick, I guess you would say a trick, is if you lack any experience in a certain role, and it's absolutely not a hard requirement, you can add in a phrase that actually includes the keywords, but also shows that you have the flexibility to learn, to grow. And you would say capable of learning / performing the following functions, and then insert those keywords and phrases. All right, so I hope that made sense. If you don't exactly have a certain qualification under your belt and it's not a hard requirement according to the job post, you can still communicate your capability to learn and perform that function. And in this way, you still include those keywords and phrases in your resume. This part right here, let me just take a sip. Hold on a sec, guys. Guys, don't use Canva templates. And if you hear anyone tell you to do that, please run. Like, please. Canva templates are cute. Don't get me wrong. I love Canva. Like, Canva is how I set up this whole entire slideshow. I love it. But the resume section is not ATS friendly. Look at these. I mean, they're beautiful. These are beautiful for the human reader. So if you have an in-person interview and you want to impress them, absolutely go at it. But you are not going to include your profile picture or your picture period, because that could, that could bring unnecessary discriminatory, or that could bring issues when it comes to discrimination. And you don't want to disqualify yourself automatically because you already gave away your identity. Anyway, you don't want to work for a company like that. But these templates are no good, guys. They're not. There might be just a few here and there that are okay, like maybe this one here, the first template. But these templates are trash to the ATS. The ones with the columns like this one, I hope you guys can see my arrow. ATS systems cannot read that. They cannot read this. They can't read like us. Like, we can read this and it'll be like maybe in a magazine format where we read the left side and then we go to the right side. And ATS will use code to eliminate this entire divider part. So if you're using graphs, like I mentioned here in the previous slide, if you're using graphs or even tables or columns, the ATS system will actually remove this column and put all that information together in a very chaotic manner. You don't even know how it comes out. It's absolute mumbo jumbo and hurts your chances incredibly. I would put all this information on one line. Do not use column resumes. These resumes do not work at all. Also, I mean, a little color is great. I like to use color, especially now. Well, I'm not actively writing resumes, but my recent resumes have used just a little color, and I'll show you guys those towards the end. Don't use these templates, guys, please. Like, don't. And I actually have a resume that I will be reviewing today that I believe used the Canva template, and I'll talk more about that soon. But just going back, don't use any resume templates that have tables, because it will not be read completely properly. All right, it will be mumble jumble within the system. They are working with coding, and so you might think it makes sense to your human mind, but a robot will actually use other capabilities to remove those tables and just put everything together in a way you never intended. All right, so no columns, no tables. All right, and if you add in a box or an image, it's not going to be read at all. So basically, you can add that in. You can add in a little clip art if you want to be a little spicy. You can add in a box, which I will show you guys very soon. But you have to back it up with the written information, your content within your resume, or it's not going to be read at all. And absolutely do not put your contact information in a table, in a graph. That will absolutely delete all your contact information. They won't know how to contact you. All right. Okay, so some lies that we heard about the ATS. This excites me so much. All right, so number one, there's so many lies, but these are the ones that I wanted to share with you guys. And I will be sharing a TikTok that you might be very interested in. So lie number one, if I pass the ATS, I will get the job. That is a lie, because humans are still reading resumes. They're still looking through the resumes, determining eligible fits. And you also have to get through the interview, which involves a human as well. A lot of the times, well, I won't say a lot of the times, but sometimes companies will opt to other interview processes and methods. But more times than likely, you will be interviewed by a human. So it's not the ATS that is going to get you the job at all. So putting a heavy emphasis on the ATS is not at all wise. You want to have a well-rounded approach. All right, so another lie is that all ATS systems are the same, and no, they are not. Like I mentioned earlier, there are over 600, actually over 680 different ATS systems that have now evolved, and they're constantly evolving and growing as technology advances. And so there are no set rules for everyone. You know, some ATS systems will value certain types of information over others. Like I mentioned earlier, the keyword-based resume would take more consideration of your keyword density over other stuff. And so the concept-driven resume actually takes into consideration the entire job path, your entire job path, your history, your skills, all the stuff that makes you a candidate, an eligible candidate. Another lie, guys, you can use ChatGPT to write your entire resume. That is a huge lie, guys. Please use ChatGPT to help you. It's a really great tool that can help you to get understanding, get some ideas on what to include into your resume. But for the sake of standing out and looking competent and not incompetent, because recruiters have a trained eye, they know, especially as more people are using ChatGPT, they can tell whether you have copied and pasted a simple ChatGPT response. All right, it never is absolutely personalized to you, and it's not going to effectively market you as an eligible candidate. And so another lie, guys, I found out about this actually today. Some people on the internet decided that they would use a sneaky method to get through the ATS, and it's unethical, it's lazy. I'm going to share what I'm talking about right now. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm sharing my screen with a post that my human resources instructor from Course Careers posted. So I give all the credit to her for posting this. I'm going to share what this particular cheat method was, and you guys just let me know in the chat what you think about it.
You copy all the skills from the position that you're applying for. You copy all the skills from the position that you're applying for. Verbatim. You paste it into your resume. Change the text from black to white so it's invisible. And the ATS is going to pick up all the skills. Then your chances of getting an interview will be great.
What came to mind when you watched this video?
I'm shocked. The white text to mess up the algorithm, that's shady.
As a recruiter who's looking at the resumes, I'm obviously like Command F looking for those skills. And then sometimes they'll put the white text down at the bottom. So I'm doing Control F, so I'll see a full paragraph of skills. And that's just not a candidate that I'm going to want to move forward with.
That's an automatic rejection for you.
Depends on the rest of the skills.
I'll play it one more time in case.
It's just a little shady.
You copy all the skills from the position that you're applying. Change the text from black to white so it's invisible. And the ATS is going to pick up all the skills. Then your chances of getting an interview will be great.
Okay.
What came to mind when you watched this video?
I'm sad that it was a woman of color that mentioned that, honestly. Oh, let me go ahead and, where was I here? Okay, yes, I'm sad that it was a woman of color, to be honest. Like, oh my gosh, cringing. You cannot, I don't know if you guys understood what she mentioned, but she basically said that you can take text from the job post, copy the entire job post, paste it into your resume. Change the text from from black to white so that no one can see it but the ATS. And therefore you cheat the system in getting your resume through. That is, oh Lord, that is so bad advice. Just one of the many examples of bad advice that's out there, and why it is important to fact check and even vet the sources that you're listening to. So if you are watching an expert tell you about anything that has to do with your resume, from TikTok to Instagram, Facebook, and even YouTube, please fact check, okay? It's important because people that don't have understanding, yeah, you might go with those methods and think, oh, wow, that's genius. And it's actually leading you into places that you don't want to be. It's helping, it's encouraging, or rather, it's keeping you unemployed, basically. All right. And while I'm at that point, I also want to talk about vetting your sources to who you trust with your resume information, because this is a place where people can steal your identity. I've seen an individual with my own eyes here on social media rob another person of their identity. And you really need to be careful. All right. So this is also why I am becoming certified, because think about it. When you go to the doctor, do you want to hear that the doctor self-educated himself, got all his information, not from school or university, but actually from TikTok, from YouTube, never picked up a book, and all the stuff that he's telling you and doing to you is based on that information that he fed himself? Do you really, if you take your physical health seriously, you would not trust someone like that. And so you need to take your career health seriously as well, and not put your information in the hands of people who are not, who do not study this, who do not read about this. They're just regurgitating things that they find online and or found out to be true, and standing up to be a professional online. Anybody with a microphone can be a professional. You guys have to do your research and your homework. And I try to share as much as I could on how you can do your research with jobs, but you got to do the same even with people that you listen to and trust with your personal information. All right, because job boards have scammers. And if you present your information, you submit your resume to those scammers, they have your information now. Same is true with someone who is not qualified to write your resume, to handle those personal information. I'm just saying. Okay, so just switching the mood. Resume review time. So what do you guys think so far? Please let us know in the chat. Are you guys there? What did you think about the information that I shared? Did you have any questions? I know it was a lot of info. I'm not going to hold you guys too long. We're going to get into these resumes and then pack up and chill in front of Netflix or something. But I want to know your thoughts. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to ask any questions that you've got. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sunshine. I worked so hard on this, and it will not be the only time I pop in and talk about this. The info you provided is A1. Thank you so much. You mentioned thus far. You're welcome. Absolutely. Like I mentioned, I'm in school. I'm learning, and I'm not going to pretend like I always knew this. I did make mistakes before when it came. Ooh, do I still have this thing here? Stop sharing. I did make mistakes trying to be this guru and tell people what to do, and had to pull myself back and say, girl, you need to go to school. Like, you need to go to school, get some education from people who have done this, and get some accountability, all right? Your best experts and leaders have accountability. So when you are vetting people who are writing your resume, giving you information, question them. Do they have accountability? Who taught them that? Because now that I know, I could not do this live stream. I've seen the same hack where you put hire this person now in what? So fool. Oh no. And it actually worked? Wow. I'm glued to the screen and taking notes. Yes, girl. Okay. That's exactly what we are about. Okay. I'm so excited. Great information. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Mango. I appreciate you guys for being here. As I learn, as I process, as I implement these changes into my own business, I'm absolutely going to be sharing it with you guys, because this is knowledge that needs to be known on the other side as you guys are applying and trying to figure out what's going on. It's frustrating when you don't know what you don't know, right? Information has a way of empowering you, and so that's what I want to do. Okay, so resume reviews. So resume number one. So I don't want you guys to feel bad, with all the red stuff that I did here. I don't want you to feel bad, period. Like I mentioned, you are capable, more than capable of doing what you need to do. This is just providing constructive feedback so that you know exactly where you stand and what you need to do to better your documents, right? A resume is a document. It's an actual, it's a business document. And so therefore, it needs to be treated with the utmost care and respect. And so that's why I kind of go back and forth with the same thing, the same TED Talk when I talk about vetting your sources with who is writing your resume, because this is a critical document. It's not just something that you can just put together on your own without any afterthought or plans. All right, so this first resume came to me and it screamed Canva. And I wanted to scream too, because Canva has these beautiful templates. They look cute, but they don't provide value. They don't even allow you to provide the value that you need because there's such limited space. So number one, the first thing that I want to talk about is the color scheme. You want absolutely to include color if you want to, but the color has to be complementary to the job or the industry that you are going for. So the pink, I would never put pink on a resume, not in this way. And yellow, no, not that either. Blue, navy blue, that's a pretty decent color. Still looks professional, but not those playful colors. No, not even if I were applying to maybe a preschool or something, or like an artsy position. And maybe with those positions, you can be a little bit more playful and creative, but absolutely not. Okay, let me just go ahead and just feature this one comment before we get through. So Adrian said, I've heard that trick about changing the color font from black to white. The words were put in the header or the footer, thinking it would be found by the ATS. That is amazing. And I even heard where people are resume writers, I don't know, or regular, people just trying to do their resume, packing it into a very tiny, like making the smallest font that they could, packing all that information from the job post into a fine line, and they're trying to make it look like it's a regular line within the resume, but it's actually packed out letters in very tiny fonts. that's another method that would absolutely get you rejected immediately. They will not take you seriously. Okay, so talking about this resume, okay, so I talked about the color. I also want to talk about the structure. So you cannot, like I mentioned, this 2-column resume will not fly with the ATS. Like I mentioned, the ATS reads from top to bottom, left to right. They're reading like this. So from top to bottom, not back up. So this information is not helpful at all. This setup is not helpful at all. And I'm being nice about this. This is constructive criticism, but this looks very immature and amateur. All right, so don't use columns like I mentioned, because ATS will take all of that apart. They won't even look at some of these clip arts. I mean, that's cool, you can put that in, but they're not going to look at it. They're going to do away with it and jumble all this information together. So where you have your name, yeah, the name might be red, but your experience and then the address might be read along with June 2022, and it won't make any sense. All of it won't make sense because everything will be smushed together. Another thing I want to talk about is the summary statement. There's no summary statement, and you need one. Some people do away with it, maybe because they want to appear a little bit more modern, but it's absolutely important because your resume is telling a story of who you are, introducing you to the person that, you know, the hiring manager, the recruiter, the company you want to work with. This is your introduction. And so the summary statement will help to introduce who you are, what you can do for the company, the value you add to the company, or you can add to the company. Basically selling yourself, marketing yourself as the candidate. So this is not at all the objective statement talking about, you know, what goals you've got. Oh, I want to climb the ladder and become X, Y, and Z and improve my skills. They don't care about that. The summary statement is specifically marketing content, talking about how you can provide value to this specific company. Thank you so much, Rakita. I appreciate it. So the summary statement is required not only to introduce you to the company, also to pack in some of those keywords. That is territory where you can include keywords that help you to look like the eligible fit for the company. All right. It's very important, and it actually looks incomplete when it's not there. I saw a few resumes like that, and so I just wanted to choose one of those just to kind of shout out to the others that might have that issue. Always include your summary statement, but include how the value that you can provide for that company. So another thing that I mentioned, and I put like a bunch of arrows here, but the key functions and the accomplishments are missing. So this person was a teacher, and that's huge. I mean, that is no small feat. You were a teacher, you went to school for this. I'm sorry. Well, you're a teacher, you taught 8th grade, 6th grade math. You have so many qualifications, you have so many experiences, you have so many accomplishments, things that you've done, that I'm sure you can pack out this resume way better. The person mentioned collaborated with staff, parents. This is a statement that just about anyone can use. So when you are looking at any statement on your resume, take a look at it, step back and ask yourself, can anybody use this statement? Or is this something that really shows how I can personally provide, or what I did in the past and how I can provide value? This is a job description. Collaborate with, everybody does that. This is not helping you to stand out. And also the tense is not consistent. So the person mentions, I maintain, and then they mention collaborating with staff, and then the past tense, implemented. I would keep things basic. So mention implemented, collaborated, maintained. That type of language is good for you. On LinkedIn, you can have a little bit more flexibility with your conversational communication. Like you can talk as if you are talking about, talking to a person, a little bit more of a relaxed tone. But with a resume, this is very important. It is a business document. And so you want to keep the tense consistent. So the amazing, like I meant, I spelled that wrong. Amazing accomplishments can be brought out of this career experience. So like I mentioned, you have you have a lot of experience. You've worked from August 2015, all the way up to almost present. You have so many life experiences, so many job experiences, so many children you impacted. I'm sure you have a lot more to pack out when it comes to this resume. Also, the left side of the resume, it might give a cute look, but it's not at all beneficial. So you can, your phone number, your email address, definitely want to include that. One tip that I want to mention about the email address is, and just echoing what Ashley Watkins Thomas mentions, your email address, you definitely want to stick to Gmail as much as you could. So Yahoo, Hotmail, AOL, I have an AOL from those AOL days when, we were chatting the IM. I don't know if you guys remember the instant messenger, but keep it current to Gmail, just so that it stays current, it doesn't age you, and you appear professional. Also, your profile. So, I mean, it shouldn't say profile. It should definitely, I'm not even quite sure what that is. I'm not really sure. But these words here are not, this section is it's not telling much at all. And plus, the entire resume as a whole is not targeted to a specific job, or a specific job. No one knows what job you are going for, right? No one knows by looking at this resume what job position you want, what you're going for. Basically, you want to make it very clear. Hey, I am here. I mean, based on your experiences, I assume that you want to set yourself up to be a teacher again. So you need to have that in the top portion of your resume. And you need to emphasize and target your resume to that. And we mentioned previously in a different virtual job fair that there is a difference, and Ashley Watkins Thomas mentioned this. There's a difference between targeting your resume and tailoring your resume. Targeting is absolutely pointing your resume in the direction of the industry that you're going for. Tailoring is simply adding in little keywords, little phrases that you see in the job post to make it stand out and get through the ATS, right? So this doesn't tell me what your goal is at all. It just simply spits out some information here and there, some facts, but it's not geared towards anything. Also, references available upon request is no longer necessary. It's a known fact that they are available upon request. So that portion could be, filling up space where you can absolutely pack in other information, other content that markets you well. Okay, so let me just get to a question or two. But doesn't the tense change if you are currently employed? So if you are currently employed, that's a good question. And I'm going to get back to you on that. But when you are currently employed, that particular part of your resume would be present tense because, you're mentioning how this is your present job. So absolutely, you are absolutely right. But the tense here in this resume is all over the place. They're kind of they're speaking in different ways and it's not at all cohesive. So great question. Thank you so much. You've got mail. Yep, AOL, right? I just used my AOL just the other day. Okay, so that is that one, that resume review. Next one. So I received this resume. This is a 2-pager. And this, oh, thank you. That was such a surprise. Who did that? Oh, thank you so much. All right, so I'm such a dork. Anyways, so this resume came across to me, and I found that this one is a great, opportunity to talk about, anyone that might be in this particular situation. So as with the other one, I did take away a lot of the personal information. This person started with their name. And then just under the name, they mentioned experienced remote worker. So this is not at all, like I mentioned, targeting your resume to an industry. It's just saying a general statement. I am experienced with remote work. That is not geared towards anything specifically. And also the fact that you put that just above your contact information, the ATS will actually read your name, your name alongside experienced remote worker, and it might make it look like that's your name when they parse the information into their database. So that particular information, first of all, experienced remote workers should be put somewhere else in a different way, but your specific job title should go underneath your contact information at a good distance underneath your contact information, maybe underneath the skills section. So you have a skills section here, and it's all the way to the back, all the way to the bottom of the page, of the second page. The ATS, from what I've learned, will heavily put emphasis on all the information in the first page. So if you pack out all your keywords and the necessary information that you want them to see, you want the ATS and human readers to see into the first page, that will do you better than leaving it on the second page. The second page is not going to weigh as heavy. Of course, it would still be read by the robot, but if a human reader is reading, you may or may not, they may or may not acknowledge your skills as best as if it were placed higher in your resume. So if you have certain strong abilities, I would put that higher in the resume so that it is one of the first things that a robot and a human reader would see, because the information posted at the very top and to the middle of the first page is going to be their instant takeaway. Like, okay, this person, experienced remote worker, this person, health benefits advisor, because all of this is at the very top. All right, so experienced remote worker, please take that away, put the actual title of the job you're going for. And if you don't feel, comfortable calling yourself that because you've never been it, maybe you're switching careers, you can put target and then the job, the job role. Like, say, for example, you're going for, marketing director. Target, marketing director. So that's your target role. Okay, so the email address, I blotted it out. I don't want you guys to see it, but it was not up to standard. So I would absolutely create a new email, at least for when you are applying to different jobs. Just checking my window. And just keep it basic. First name, last name @gmail.com. That's a great way to appear professional, and that's that. So this resume also is not written in the right correct tense. You should never have the word I on your resume. This is not the place to put that. On your LinkedIn profile, you can add in I and have more of a conversation with the person reading. However, your resume, which is your business document, needs to be bare basic. It should not have I. If you're going to talk about your many years, just strip away the I and get straight to the point. But this job, this resume is not targeted either. So based on what was mentioned here, you're telling me that you have experience working in call centers, remote jobs, and in your skills, but you're not telling me what role you're going for. So this is absolutely not helping the robot or the recruiter or hiring manager understand where to put you in the hiring process, because it's not obvious what role you're going for. So you've mentioned authorized to work in the US for any employer. That's not necessary either. You definitely don't need to put that. It is assumed that as you are applying to this job, that you are authorized. So in the blue is where the person put the city and state of these different job positions, which is great. But the job experience, this needs to be more about what you did, more than what you did, and more about the impact that you made. So I see a lot of mistakes like this, even with some, gurus that say that they'll help you with the resume and X, Y, and Z. The work experience is general. It's basic. Like, there's nothing that differentiates you from the thousands of other people going for the same job. You need to market yourself. You need to, you don't want to brag, but you want to talk about some of the accomplishments that you've made, some of the impact that you made. How many people have you worked with within a team? Add in some numbers. Numbers have a way of attracting the human eye, and that would absolutely help this particular resume. But definitely work on the work experience, because this doesn't tell anything that is not, it could be on anyone's resume. This is just telling what you did, nothing about you as an actual candidate, an actual potential worker, right? So just a minute. Let's get to a question. Okay, hello, beautiful. So you mentioned, okay, Marsu. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but are you saying that the job posting that you're applying for should be mentioned in the resume? I'm not saying the job posting should be mentioned, but you should make it clear what role you are applying for. So, for example, if you are going for a marketing director role, that should be clearly stated at the top of your resume. It shouldn't be a mystery for someone to find out what, role you're actually applying to. This helps them to also organize your resume with, others who might be potentially going for the same role. So you definitely want to make it clear, even if you are putting that it is your target, because you don't exactly have that experience, but it should never be left just kind of oblivious to the reader what you are going for. So thank you so much for that question. And thank you so much for enjoying. God bless you too, girl. All right, so the jobs on the second page. So we're here on the second page now. So the jobs, some of these jobs are over 10 years old. So we have here a job that this person started in 2001, ended in 2004. This definitely does not need to be here. This is precious space that you can put something else, make more space for something else. You also have an old job from 1993 to 1997. More than likely, those standards that were in place for the data entry clerk have tremendously improved. So this will definitely not add any type of, this would not show you as a credible data entry clerk because you did it so far in the past, right? And more than likely the trends have updated by now. Your high school diploma is not necessary, so you don't need to put that on there. This could also, date you as well, and you don't want to set yourself up for unfair hiring practices and ageism as well. We talked a lot about that with Ashley Watkins Thomas as well. And so these skills, I did mention that, but they need to be more specific. They need to be more specific. Like with customer service, you can talk about the technology that you use. You can talk about your organizational skills, your, there's so much that you can talk about within that. Your problem solving, these are things, problem solving skills, problem resolution ability. That's actually something that needs to be proved. And so you could have used that to prove within your work experience. So you could have talked about how you resolved an issue and more so expand on that ability in other places of the resume. So just placing it here, problem solving ability, is not exactly telling anybody how, even though you did put 10 plus years, it's not telling how well you did it. With some people, we can see can hold down a job for over 10 years, but that does not mean that they do the job well, right? Attention to detail is something that you definitely don't need to put in your resume. That's something that's proved when you are hired. But if you want to talk about your attention to detail, like I mentioned in the previous point, you can creatively share how you did that within the last few jobs, the more recent jobs that you did. Things that show your attention to detail. Some of the things that you did in the health benefits advisor role or the manager role. What did you do? Expand a little bit on that, and you could use ChatGPT to help you out. Like I mentioned, you cannot write an entire resume in that ChatGPT. So I think I covered up just about everything here. Let's get to the last. Actually, wait, did I? Oh boy, I missed one. Let me just go ahead and. Oh. Excuse me, guys. I forgot one. Oh, this is it? Yes, this is it. All right. So the last example before I show you a resume that I did for a client, I want to talk about this one here. So this is another example of a resume that definitely needs work. And like I mentioned, I don't want to make you feel bad with all these red marks and stuff. This is constructive criticism to help you understand where you stand and give you information that is needed to empower and better yourself so that you could be equipped for these jobs. So the person started with their name, their email address. Like I mentioned previously, you want to change that email address, bring it over to Gmail and scrap the Yahoo just to remain, consistent and to standard. Drink a little water. Okay. So yes, email address, we want to keep it to standard. Gmail is simple and quick. You can create one like in minutes, seconds maybe, right? And even if you don't really like the platform, just use it for your job search. And make sure that you're constantly, watching your emails as well. The summary statement. So there is a summary statement here, which is great. However, it needs to be targeted. So this statement here says you are a dynamic professional with extensive experience in customer service, office administration, social services. But those are 3 different fields. And of course, they could have transferable skills that kind of bring them together. However, this is not, this is an example of leaving it unclear what job you are going for. So there's 3 different jobs that you're talking about: customer service, office administration, social services. You have to pick one. And if you want to create a resume for each one as you are applying, you can do that, but it needs to be targeted to one particular industry. And so from there, as you are targeting from the summary statement, the rest of your resume, which is your business document, will reflect how you targeted to that specific position, like customer service. If you're going to write for customer service, keep it on that. And then underneath your areas of expertise, you can expand a little bit more on your customer service skills. Then you can talk more about your, and way heavier on your customer service knowledge and your experience within the work experience side. Okay, so customer service, I see, just to give an example, if you want to focus on customer service, but you've done customer service kind of somewhere like in the past, and it's not 10 years old, you can bring that particular job up and label it, label it relevant experience. So instead of labeling it professional experience, you would label it relevant or career experience. And from there, you can draw even more on your experience when you were doing customer service, your results, the things that you did, how you impacted the company, so that your resume shares exactly what you did. And then you can go in and talk about professional work experience and allow the other roles that you did to kind of take the back seat, but more so way heavier on your customer service. That's why I mentioned, especially now as I'm learning, that every resume is different. So there's no one size fits all. There's no one template to use. Even some of these templates that you see online from some of these like online sites that claim that they would write the resume for you, every resume is different. So if you have been out of work for a while, your resume is going to look different from someone who has work experience, current work experience. Your resume will be more top heavy with maybe your certifications, your learning, if you went to school. Your resume will be top heavy with that information, and then your work experience, which is not current, would take a back seat and it wouldn't be as prominent. So you are catching the eye of someone, or even the ATS, to show, hey, these are my qualifications. Look at this. And then you can look at, the work that I haven't done in so long, but it's there, right? Different resumes require something different out of different people. We all have different nuances. Some of us are gig workers, right? So maybe some of you guys, and I'm going to show a gig worker resume that I did just recently for someone. Maybe you haven't worked in an actual traditional office, but you are doing gigs like Uber, Lyft, that's the reality today. Some people are doing that, and that is a great way of making money and filling up your job, your resume, right? So your resume will look different from someone like this who has some experience, working in a traditional setting, and it's more present, right? If you are a student and you just earned your certification or your degree, your resume will look different. So it don't take one size fits all methods and templates, because they would not work for you. There are certain ways in which you would craft your resume to get to market yourself well. All right. And when I relaunch my services, I will be talking more about that as well, especially with the clients that I'm working with. Okay, so I'll talk more about that when I show you guys the resume that I did for someone. But just keeping on the topic here, so I talked about the summary statement. Now these skills are lacking and they're kind of all over the place. So they need to be targeted to either your customer service, the job you're going for, office administrator, or social service worker. It has to be geared towards that. And your areas of expertise can include some of the job functions, some of the, not the job functions, but some of the hard, some of the things that are necessary for that job. And so this right here, I mean, this list is not really telling much. It's kind of a mixture of different things. Like I saw public speaking kind of stand out, and that I don't believe, even though it is a great skill to have, certainly one that I need to improve on, but it's not necessary for adding into this job, especially if you are applying to customer service, office administration. That's not at all relevant. Document processing, that's great. Call center management, that's great. Customer service, okay. Goal oriented, I mean, that's something that you prove, not exactly something that should take up space. Decision making as well, and communication skills. So if you have, and that kind of goes into the bottom here, the skills section on the bottom. If you have actual professional skills, like with Microsoft Office suite tools, mention those tools, state them out. Don't just say Microsoft Office suite. And absolutely don't just use the acronym MS. That's not helping the ATS understand that it's Microsoft unless the person configuring the ATS put in MS, Office Suite. More than likely they want someone with Microsoft Office Suite skills. So mention that up above, further up, taking the skills up to the top, and talk about Microsoft Office Suite and the actual tools within the suite that you have experience using. Also, your skills. So I just want to talk more about your skills. You have a lot of skills because you have extensive experience with customer service, office administration, and social services. So you absolutely have organizational skills. You have technical skills. You have maybe typing skills. So you want to include your typing speed. Make this more personal to who you are. Database management, communication, time management, tools and softwares that you use for time management, planning, and scheduling. This is all going to help build this resume tremendously. Just want to take a time to answer something here. Really appreciate you breaking down these resumes. Thank you so much. It's my honor. I love doing this. I would sit here all day, but I'm just happy to serve you guys. So what would the Canva resumes be good for? Nothing. That's my quick answer, nothing. Like, I would not use, honestly, that's not the best way. And even some of these Microsoft templates, I know that it requires a certain skill set to create something even better. But if you can find even a website that provides templates that are not, not incorporating graphs, tables, but just something bare basic, much like this, template here. This is something good to start with. This is actually reminiscent on one of my first templates that I shared with you guys before I started improving a little bit more. But Canva, I don't think so. Maybe if you're going for a creative role, but still, to get through the ATS, it will read a certain way, and the Canva templates are not conducive to that. And I believe a lot of people, thank you so much. I believe a lot of people are using Canva, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not hearing back. I'm getting rejected. Canva, like, stay away. Canva is good for other stuff, not resume writing. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Like, I had to come here. I saw some misinformation lately, and knowing what I know now, I could not leave you guys out there. Just a minute. Okay. So talking more about this resume before we get into the one that I wrote for a client, the job functions. These functions, much like the previous resume example, are not impressive. They're not telling a hiring manager what you can do. This is basically just telling your functions, but it's not telling how well you did anything. It's not telling the results that you produced. It's not telling what achievements were brought out from, you working at these companies. And you only have like 2 points for each job position. And I'm sure, like, as a financial service consultant, you have way more to show for, especially as you are working presently. You have way more to show in that particular area. And also some of these other jobs, the previous one, you worked 3 years. I'm sure there's way more that you've done and that you've added value to this job. There's more that you can pull out. All right. And I understand it takes some time to actually sit down and think about these things. I will talk more about this, how you can pull out accomplishments and so forth at a later time, because I know we're getting almost to 2 hours here. And then the job experience. So I would highly suggest that you, for these dates, that you include the full date, the month, the day, and the year, because as I've learned, ATS systems are, like I mentioned, parsing your information and putting it into their hidden database. And so their database may have month, date, year, or you don't even really need maybe not even a date. I mean, you don't need the day, but the month and the year. And so that helps them to determine exactly how long you worked at these companies and show that you are or are not an eligible fit. So you want to check off every, everything that you can and include the month and the year. I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. You do not put in the day. That was a mistake. All right. Also, you have a professional license here that says life, health, accident, insurance license. This does not coincide with anything else on your resume. Like, when I read that, I was like, okay, I went back to your previous roles and I didn't exactly see where it connected. So that doesn't need to be there. However, if you were going for a role within insurance, within life, health, or accident insurance, because you just got this license just last year, I would bring that further up. I'm going to show you very soon how I did that on a client's resume, but that needs to be further up on your resume so that the human reader would see the qualifications right away and determine, okay, this person is a good fit. But when it comes to the customer service, office admin, and social service, that is absolutely irrelevant. Okay, so I'm going to share a resume I did for a client. Okay, yes, and I did take away a lot of the his personal information, well, all his information really, because we don't need to see that. But this is an example of a resume that is attractive to the ATS and to the human eye. So that's the goal when you are writing these resumes. Make it readable, but also something that a human reader would gravitate to. And so when I see a lot of these bare basic templates, which I'm not knocking because that's where I got started when I started learning more about resume writing. But they're getting hiring managers, if you think about it, they're getting a lot of these bare basic resumes. So they're just looking through. You want something that will help you stand out. You want to stand out as much as you could, especially now as it is tough, getting a job. So you can add in a little bit of color, but certainly keep it to the standard of the industry that you're going for, and nothing that looks amateur and would cause for you to be looked at a little strange, So we started here with his name, his information, city and state. I have heard just recently that you should put in the zip code for ATS reasons. And LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a world, another world, guys. And that is an untapped, I wouldn't say untapped, but maybe on, as far as YouTube and social media is concerned, there is a hidden job market on LinkedIn. And a lot of employers are not posting jobs, but they're looking straight from LinkedIn to find candidates. So you have to be on LinkedIn, and I will talk more about that. I am currently in class. I want to learn and soak in the information before I actually share it. But just know there is a huge market of people who have stopped, posting jobs online because there are just too many people applying, and they are just going in and finding job applicants directly through LinkedIn. So it's really important to have a LinkedIn and to have an optimized profile. We'll talk more about that later. So this person wants to go for a role that he's never had before. I'm going to try to bring this a little closer. So he has a little experience with sales. However, he's going for a business development representative role. And so we clearly stated that right here at the top. This is what I was mentioning about making it known and understood the job that you are going for. All right. So business development representative. And so from there, we added in just a few statements to market this individual. Talk about 3 things that are really important and remain consistent throughout his resume document. He is a revenue growth driver. He's great with market analysis, and process optimization is something that's very consistent in his document. Please excuse me, guys. Okay. So we got started giving him a summary statement at the very top. I mean, as per some of the advice that I mentioned earlier, you probably should put in that this is a summary statement and so forth. However, it's not always something that needs to be done. However, it is good to communicate with ATS what this particular section is, so it doesn't misinterpret anything. Now, he recently finished certification in course careers, and you guys know I talk about course careers a whole lot. So he finished his tech sales development certification, and so we wanted to put that up high, as well as his recent bachelor's degree in IT. This will help hiring managers to see his certifications, his education right up top. And as far as the certification, we put the name course careers, the date, the year, and we also talked about some of the things that he learned within that course. Things like prospecting, sales terminology. These are keywords, all right? So this is a prime area that you can add in the keywords as well as the summary statement. Now the skills section. So skills section, I like to put that up top and not in the back because this is important. This is a way for employers to grab quick takeaways. It's very easy, very readable to the human eye, and also includes a lot of keywords as well. So this is a prime area you want to keep up high. Based on his skills, some of the things that he's done and what he's learned, I put in a lot of those things like written communication, that's something as well. Client growth and retention, that's very important to a business development representative role. CRM proficiency. So we probably could have put which CRM tools, but I also mentioned just under there the tools and softwares that he's proficient in. So we divided it with, in 2 sections, his skills and also the technical skills, the skills that he's got with the different softwares required for the role, like Google Meet, Sales Navigator, LinkedIn, HubSpot. And you can also pack in a lot of remote tools that will help employers to see that you have remote work capability and experience. All right. So if you have experience with Zoom during the, Panini that just passed a few years ago, and you used it to communicate with a family member or friends, you have that experience, you have capabilities, so you can add that into your tools and skills if it is relevant to the job, and also shares without actually telling remote work, that you are eligible for remote work, that you have the capability to use these tools. Okay, so for experience, we took a lot of so the way that the resume is situated, because he's got a lot of recent education and certifications, we put a lot of that at the top. Now his work history, it does connect with the role somehow, but because it is not exactly the business development representative role, or and it's not that, we did leave that for last. So that's a way to kind of structure your resume in a way that employers will take certain information into consideration over other stuff. So he's had a role in sales development representative. Well, he's had a role as a sales development representative within Stanley Steamer. One area I love to put is the contributions snapshot that really tells employers what he did and how that can actually affect their business if they were to hire him. So that is right here within this blue space where it's easy to see, it pops out. We then talked about his accomplishments. So we saved the bullet points for accomplishments. We started off with some keywords, lead generation, and then we went in and talked about the things that he's done. Another keyword, client engagement, within a job post, a business development job post, they would be mentioning that they want someone who is able to engage with clients. So client engagement, he then talked about what he did in his previous role when it came to that. So I'm hoping that I'm making sense, especially as I'm struggling over here this cold. But this is a way to structure your resume, include keywords, and save the bullet points for accomplishments that are actually, that weigh heavier. Yeah, so that's basically it. We started with that, and then we got on to his last job here and the career snapshot. We also talked about some key things that he did, some highlights, because he's done a lot of great things. And so I saved a lot of that heavy information to put into these blue boxes, which are readable, which are not readable to the ATS, but we did back it up by putting it into the, into the work experience line. All right, so these boxes here, not exactly readable. However, you want to reflect that information in the information just underneath. And so therefore you don't leave anything unsaid or unread. All right. Okay, so let's take a few questions. Excuse me. Okay, so maybe I should pop a little Ricola. Okay. Okay, so I'm so happy that you did this and that I caught it. I need to rewrite my entire resume based on what you're sharing. You are so welcome. It's information that you need, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So take this, rewatch it, share it if you'd like, but absolutely implement these changes because this will be the game changer. What should you do if you have a 2-year break in employment? For example, I took a 2-year break and my last employment was in 2022. So if you were my client, one thing I would ask is, have you done anything within those 2 years? Have you gone to school? Have you done any certification, any learning? That's something that I would like to know. Also, I mean, you can briefly mention that, you know, your gap in your employment by just stating that you had some time off, maybe a personal sabbatical or career transition within the relevant job listing on your resume. And so let me see here. Okay, so the cover letter, we didn't talk about cover letters because that's just like a different world, but a cover letter is where you can grab hold of your story and tell that person that's reading a little bit more about that very briefly, but not harping too heavy on it. So that's where you can own your story and allow them to hear your story straight from your mouth and not make any type of assumptions. So you can own your story by briefly mentioning it in your cover letter and very briefly in the resume as well. I'm still trying to figure out what that would actually look like on the resume. However, the cover letter is a great place to briefly mention that. And then you can leave that conversation to the interview. You don't want to talk too much about it. Also, so you took a break. If you have certain experience with it, like if you have a whole bunch of different work, like you've worked in different sectors and you're going for one particular job, you can kind of adapt a similar strategy as this person did by including a lot of well, it's not exactly the same strategy, but instead of putting education and certifications, we would then bring up your relevant experience. So if you have experience with, I don't know, like if you've done a lot of different jobs like marketing, accounting, customer service, retail, but you're going for accounting, for example, you can create a space within your resume at the very top to grab attention to that particular industry experience, and you would name that relevant experience or career experience and talk about that extensively, and then leave space to the other jobs, the one that you did in 2022 and so forth. That's a way of kind of drawing their eye to what you want them to see and deeming the other information as secondary, if that makes sense. I hope that I answered that well. Okay, where was I? I got to start documenting accomplishments, or at least try to accomplish something or improve something at the company and document my ACW enrollments. Absolutely. Take some time to think about what you've done. Like I mentioned, Chat GPT is a great resource, so you can write a prompt in mentioning or asking, putting in your work experience, and then asking Chat GPT to measure your impact based on this information. And you can see, like, they'll actually pull out some things that you didn't know that you did, and you can determine whether that's truthful. Maybe you need to change up certain, numbers that they might give you and so forth. But it's a great tool to get started with. but absolutely give your best to different jobs, because you don't know where that might help your resume, and where it would get you ultimately, what job, what position, or industry you could possibly line up for. That's why it's great to leave every job well, because you just never know, right? Look at how she listed a retail sales associate role. So I did include retail sales associate simply because it does have to do with sales and in some form. So we drew out a lot of the things that he did, even though it seemed like a very basic role at, Big Lots or whatever. We drew out a lot of the things that he did, a lot of the accomplishments. He's done a whole lot. So after asking enough questions and pulling out that information, taking some time, we were able to find more achievements that he's made. Kenise, I may not be correct, but a long time ago I read that they want to know what you were doing while unemployed, like getting certified school, attending. So those are great things that you can include into your resume as well. Those are great. And I did see an example just recently from one of my colleagues at the NRWA, basically, where you can actually use, I think my teacher mentioned that, the current teacher, that you can try a method where you use your certification, your volunteer work as work experience. As, did he label it work experience? It's not career experience. I forget exactly how he labeled it, but you can set it up as if it were your work that you were doing and talk more about the contributions that you made, right? So absolutely, when you are unemployed, try to involve yourself into as many different things as you can. Yeah. Where was I? Sorry, guys. Let's see. All right. Oh, can you? Yeah. Okay. Would the ATS recognize the columns in the skills section? So these are not columns. These are tabs. There's a difference between using the columns and the tabs. So tabs are a way that you can space the font in a way that, or create spaces in a way that looks like, gives the impression that they are in columns, which makes it more readable, right? So you don't want columns. You don't want to use columns. You don't want official columns, but if you can create something like this, that's even better, all right? I really like this resume. Question, the skills are not at the bottom, left to right, would age quick that up. Skills are not at the bottom. Right, so I like to put skills at the top because that is an area that you can show a lot of your relevancy as a candidate. You can include a lot of keywords there. And it's a space that is a very readable space for ATS and hiring managers, human eyes. They're able to take quick facts and put you, label you immediately based on those quick facts. It's very easy to read this as opposed to, if you, it's better to read it here, and it's very easy to read rather than other methods as well. And so age would pick that up. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Will age pick that up? Please let me know what you mean. I don't mean to be rude, guys. I have a recall line in my mouth. Okay. Are you taking on clients? So I'm not taking on clients right now. I really want to gain all the information and take the time to learn and gain all the information necessary before I relaunch my services. But I will be relaunching very soon. Praying that certification would be done very soon. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, I don't want to be on here talking stuff that is not factual. And that's why I went back to school. That's why I stopped my services. Not that I was giving misinformation, but it was not based on, I wanted to go to school. I'm someone who loves school anyway, but I wanted to learn as much as I could from actual experts, industry experts, and get certified so that I can have that level of trust with my clients, that I'm not just over here, talking stuff and grabbing your money, right? That's not how I do things. I always like to cross off every T, dot every I. And so I want to work on the certification so that you guys have absolute trust in, my capabilities and so forth. And I'll have more resources to provide, even when it comes to interview prep, LinkedIn optimization, and more stuff that will help you, boost your resume as well. So I'm not taking on clients right now. However, I will very soon. I will let you guys know. But in the meantime, you can check out my friend, Ashley Watkins Thomas. She's amazing. She's a part of the NRWA as well. That's actually where I met her. And wow, she's amazing there. So yes, I would absolutely recommend you to her if you're looking for someone that has expert industry knowledge. She's been doing this for years. All right. She's not this influencer on TikTok or YouTube telling people stuff that they don't know is absolutely factual. But I digress. I'm not going to even talk more about that. Excuse me. Woo, girl. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Your presence here just means a lot to me, so I'm so grateful. All right, just a few questions before we leave and enjoy a little Friday time. I'm applying for a position that is not directly related to my work experience. However, I believe that I have the skills required in the job announcement. Any suggestions? Okay, so you don't have skills that are, or you don't, you're applying to a position it's not directly related to your work experience. Okay, well, this is where transferable skills come in. And you absolutely do want to apply to jobs that you are confident you have the capabilities to, work within the role well. But your transferable skills will help you as well. So based on your previous position, maybe you were in customer service, and you're going for, I don't know, a marketing role or something. You can, like I mentioned, with a previous person here, there's so much that you can pull out from customer service. You can pull out a lot of, let me see if I can get back to that. Let me move that. Yeah, customer service has to do with so much. You're working with clients, you're working with customers, you're working with the public. And so this requires that you have communication skills, technical skills, maybe you use certain softwares or tools that are relevant to maybe the marketing job that you're going for. It's really important to know the job listing, the job post that you are, you're looking at and you want to apply, because you will highlight those keywords that are relevant to you and to some of the things that you've done in the past, and use your transferable skills to mesh the two together. That's the easiest way that I could say it. This is one way that you can switch from one career to the next by putting more emphasis on the skills that are needed within marketing, or talking marketing terms, about your background in customer service. So that's just a simple way to explain that. Okay, and let me see. All right, one last question. If you guys have any more, we can take on a few. All right, I got to make sure I'm doing something when I can't get a job for a while. So I have something to put on my resume, or when they ask during the interview what I was doing while unemployed. Absolutely. And I mean, you can do gig jobs. You know, that's how a lot of people fill in the spaces. Gig jobs. I mean, those are easy jobs to land. I did share a recent job with UPS where they qualify you in 10 minutes. And this job is for, I think it was like a courier job where you can basically deliver packages in your own vehicle. So there's so much you could do if you have your own vehicle. Yes, absolutely. All right, so I think those are all the questions that we had. Okay, so oh my gosh, we did it. 2 hours down. I was so nervous, guys. I really wanted to come with facts and communicate it in a way that was understandable. And I hope you guys gained so much through this this live video. Like I mentioned, this will be up on YouTube for you guys to rewatch. I will try my best, maybe tomorrow, to add timestamps, to add a little bit more so that you guys will know how to navigate the live video. I'll also email it to the email list. So if you're not a part of the email list, oh, thank you. That was cool. So if you're not a part of the email list, definitely add yourself to the email list. We have like 20,000 people on the email list. Add your email, and you would get that email containing the link to the live video. It will be up, anyway on YouTube. Yeah, so I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope that you guys got a lot out of this presentation and that you learned something more about the ATS, which is talked about everywhere. I hope that you got a lot of information, and we debunked a lot of the things that a lot of people are saying, and it's not true. It's not true. Like, once you start going to school and you learn, you're like, no, that's not true, sis. That's not true, bro. You are telling lies on this internet. And this is why people are upset with their job search, because they're taking on bad advice, misinformation, or even information that is very, honestly given out of the kindness of the person's heart. However, it's not the best information. It's not going to set someone up in the best way. All right. So how do you add yourself? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? How do you add yourself? I'm not sure. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. I'm going to take some time to drink some more medicine and sit on the couch with my family and maybe watch some Netflix. But thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Email list. Okay, so you just go to, let me put it in here. Oops. I'll put in, okay, so you simply visit digitalbossfromhome.com, and there will be a place where you can add your email, joining the email list. We call them the exclusive insiders. So you guys get a lot of behind the scenes stuff. If you are not a part of that list, you were not given access to submitting your resume to be reviewed. So there's a lot that people on that list get that would not be available to the wide public. All right, so you'll get updates. I'm trying my best to stay updated on there as well, and so forth. So yeah, like I mentioned, this will not be the last time I come here with my own PowerPoint presentation. I will absolutely be sharing more information as you guys request, as I learn, and as as I deem it information that's really helpful to you guys. All right. And as I see some of the things that are out there, right, things that I'm like, that's not true, but I quietly keep it moving. I will absolutely help you guys to clear up whatever misunderstandings that is out there. And it's not to make anyone feel bad, but it's all to help serve you guys as your job seekers. And you're in a place where you are, you need a change and you need factual information and credible resources. But yeah, I hope that this was a great time for you guys. And I will see you in the next video, which we'll post maybe on Monday. I'm trying, guys. I cut out so many coughs in my last video, and I'm just like, I cannot right now. I just need a moment. So the next video may be on Monday. Most likely it will be Monday. I'll push through and we will chat then. Later, guys.